What made you lose interest in playing video games? Story 1. Having everything be online multiplayer with a short story campaign that feels like an afterthought. Give me a story. Let me play on my own. I don't want to socialize. I want to play video games. Answer. Having everything be online multiplayer with a short story campaign. That's not everything. Lots of games don't do this. Give me a story. Let me play on my own. I don't want to socialize. I want to play video games. Witcher 3, God of War Ragnarok, Last of Us, Sekiro, Bloodborne, Elder Scrolls, Stardew Valley, No Man's Sky, Oblivion Remastered, Skyrim Remastered. There's like 20 of these to pick from. Red Dead Redemption, RDR2, Expedition 33, etc. Story 2. It's not like I have no interest anymore. I still play. But there was definitely a turning point where I realized all the virtual stuff was completely meaningless compared to developing my life. Video games feel like a cheap fix to feel like you're being productive or succeeding. As soon as you turn them off, though, you're in the same place you were before. Real life changes and success feels 1000x more fulfilling than getting a good run in an extraction game or beating a Souls boss. Answer. This is exactly true. I play games in spurts. If I am sick or injured or whatever, I will just stay home and play. It's really engaging since I rarely play. It helps keep my mind off being sick. But I have a roommate who literally plays games 247. It's all he does. It's not even online multiplayer games. He will play a game like Diablo and just play for days and weeks and months. All local single player. Like, what if it gets deleted? Who are you getting that special loot for? Are you simply collecting hours? For what? He has no friends, no girlfriend ever, no hobbies, barely eats, or showers. Never cleans his room. Like, why? Just eliminate time until the next day is depressing as fudge. There is a whole life to live outside of that game. Video games have a place for sure, but are easily addicting and can honestly destroy people's lives. Story 3. I just don't have the time I used to, and I honestly didn't realize that Xbox released another system after the Xbox One until like a year ago. So I might pick it back up in like 3 years. I thought Xbox Series X was just a fancy Xbox One because they did that Xbox One X or whatever. Man fudge Microsoft's bullshit naming schemes. Story 4. I play every now and then, but I mainly slowed down with it because I felt I wasn't being productive enough in life. Story 5. Capitalism ruining everything. Every game is now lazily made to be a cash cow with nothing innovative anymore. It's just COD year after year. Don't you get tired of playing the exact same game over and over again? Oh wait, no. It's got RTX, so this is obviously a brand new experience. So I've been finding myself searching for a game that doesn't exist yet, because nobody wants to make anything new and creative. They just follow the recipe that already works. There's nothing truly new anymore. It's the same game mechanics we've known for decades, only with a new shiny coat of paint slapped on it. That's the state of OA gaming in 2025. And it sucks, jerk. Story 6. I got older. I tried to keep gaming, but for whatever reason, games have lost their appeal. I find more pleasure watching videos about other people playing video games. Story 7. The grind. In 38th, realized that collecting digital achievements meant literally nothing and decided to renovate my house, started a 3D print hobby, and start reading again. Story 8. I get home from work being on my feet 8 hours. I just want a hot shower and to lay down in bed. Then on my days off, I'm busy with laundry, cleaning, and running errands. There's almost no time or energy for games. Story 9. Super hard games with no adjustable difficulty, whose main draw is their difficulty, are not a thing I enjoy anymore. I'm old enough that I don't have time to invest in that kind of thing, and the sense of achievement I'd get from beating a really tough boss after 24 tries does not justify the time partied too hard or the stress. I'd rather enjoy my limited gaming time and relax than go back to the NES days when yelling "No!" and wanting to throw the controller against the wall was not an uncommon sentiment. Story 10. Microtransactions and forced online multiplayer PvP. Looking at you, EA and Ubisoft, you greedy fudge. Story 11. I got things to take care of. I can't just sit around in my room playing video games all day. More and more single-player games are becoming Souls-like, or having Souls-like elements. I don't have the patience or the time to constantly parry, dodge, and wait for that small window of a stagger to attack. Then there's open world, where you have to explore every nook and cranny in order to play the game right. This has made me lost interest, but fortunately, am regaining it by doing things I never thought I'd do. Playing on lower difficulties, using mods and cheats, for single-player games only. Screw you if you use cheats for multiplayer games. Story 12. Gamergate. Not a joke. The people who lost their shoot and gate-kept video games bled my enjoyment dry. Multiplayer games where the community is full of edgelord tweens, COD, CS, GTA Online, capitalism. The breaking of games to accommodate DLC and card packs and loot crates. Story 13. Too much attention on graphics and multiplayer shenanigans. Meanwhile, the plot suffers and solo play is so hard you have to concentrate purely on the fight and lose track of what little plot there is. They can't take the old games from me, but golly, they need to learn to make games fun again. Story 14. Apex Legends became so hard to enjoy, people were changing direction in mid-air and would wipe me and my bros in seconds after 20 minutes of finding our loot. The "get good" comments were wearing on me, and it would make me anxious trying to get set up for a win. I would go to bed feeling like I was a failure and would lose sleep wondering what I did wrong in the game. So it was a clear decision to stop. This was 2 years ago. Story 15. I started referring to games I wanted to play as a backlog, like it was a job in order to add feigned importance to it. Story 16. Not sure. Just slowly lost it over time. I remember turning it on one day and was just bored with it. And every time after that, I would try to play some online because that's all I did. No campaign stuff. I'd play for 10 to 15 min, then set the controller down and just go on my phone. No fun in it anymore. And it really sucks because I miss playing with friends. Story 17. I can't see very well anymore. I got tired of having to pause and squint when something came up in writing, and it just felt boring. Sometimes I also have trouble figuring out what you have to do to complete your mission when it's not explicit. I know. That's also a good part of gaming because it makes you use your brain and it's fun to finally get that mission done. But when you have to pay extra close attention to all the minor details and you just can't see, that's not fun anymore. Story 18. Looking at how many partied too hard hours I sunk into them for nothing. Seems like that time can be better used improving myself or spending time with people. Story 19. I gave up on specific games like COD series. Just got too weird and too many kids, cheats, weird stuff, R6, way too many operators and gadgets and things. Woot, just wasn't fun anymore for me. Still have the account but can't be bothered to sell it. Story 20. I'll just rather read something now, honestly. I've gradually realized that gaming is mostly a waste of time with no real positive ROI in the long run. In the short term, and when done at the right age and time, it can be enjoyable and even beneficial. I still play a card game now and then, but like I said, I'd rather read, go for a walk while listening to a podcast, or spend time with loved ones. These days, gaming is pretty much the last thing I do, and even then, it's just for 30 minutes to an hour at most. Maybe I'll get back into it someday when I'm older. Story 21. Online games moving from small community servers to effectively anonymous matchmaking completely and utterly ruined the fun. Back in the day, you'd find a chill crowd to play with, and if some dickhead showed up, you kick them. Now it's constant toxicity. Story 22. Huge waste of time. So much more stuff I can accomplish instead of dedicating hours and hours to a game. Story 23. Feeling like a fudge loser because I have nothing to show for my life and trying to find some sense of accomplishment in a video game while being surrounded by other losers. And now I'm back to playing games because I've realized that societal and social expectations are all a sham and you should live exactly how you want. I don't want to party and get partied too hard at the bars and get laid. I don't care about going to raves. I want to go hiking and play video games. Both equally pointless endeavors, but enjoyable in their own respects. Story 24. 2 things. 1. Broken games. You buy it and it doesn't work, or it needs a 5 million gigabyte update. By the time it's playable, my time has run out and I can't play anymore. Major buzzkill. 2. Time. Between a business and a wife and a mortgage and adult responsibilities, I have very little time. Story 25. For a while, it was because nothing compared to RDR2 after putting almost 400 hours in. That's just my personal preference. But I've since found some fun games to play. FF16 has rejuvenated my love for games. I'm lost in that story right now. Story 26. Nothing. Been playing games since I was 3 years old, and am 35 now and still play at least an hour a day. I will say many modern games I have no interest in. Every game tries to be this huge cinematic movie, and I just want to play the game. I don't need a convoluted story or actors' faces digitally captured to enjoy a game. I miss 90s era of games. Perfect example is Streets of Rage 2. You get an opening crawl that your teammate is captured by the big bad you thought you eliminate. You pick your character and immediately just play the game. No running around talking to 15 NPCs, no forced tutorial. You just play the game. Story 27. 17 love video games, then got a girlfriend first. BJ turns the volume down on most other things in life. Story 28. I lost the sense of continuity for it because nobody else around me was playing those things and expressing continued seeking of successful variation for that set of priorities and association. Story 29. I aged into just liking the story's lore nowadays. Like TV shows or movies, I do it in much better moderation than when I was younger. Story 30. I realized I have too many personal and professional responsibilities to deal with battle passes and live service games, so I've cut those out almost entirely. Still play stuff though. Story 31. Well, in 1994 we moved, and my new friends were always playing basketball and getting high, so I was no longer home that much. Story 32. How much money it is. When a new system comes out, they are already working on the next one. Then I would just feel like I partied too hard money. Then there is that stigma of always having to have the next one. Story 33. The already expensive price tags which seem to keep increasing, and when you finally go buy it and realize the game was not worth the money at all. A lot of the games don't justify the hefty price tag at all. Also, video games have become increasingly difficult and losing fun. AC Shadows, for example, was over the top, difficult in the beginning. Story 34. Ridiculous game prices and consoles. At this point, it's easier to enjoy some games by just watching YouTubers long playing it. Story 35. Backstory: I was never really into video games. When I was 21 on Black Friday, I remember I bought my first gaming system, the PS4, for $250, which included a series of 3 games which came inside, and I had to input code to get games. The same day I bought FIFA for $20. I enjoyed it and played for a few games. Then the months go by, and I play maybe once every 4 months. The year goes by, and then I use it as a book stand. I sold it for $220 the following year. Story 36. I got into miniature painting and realized it was more fun, but also I had less time due to adulting, so I happily gave up video games. Story 37. I haven't really found a game that interests me, and I don't have as much free time to play anymore. If I find something good, then I'll make time to play. Story 38. I'll let you know when it happens. I will say though, these days my attention span on a single game is limited. I find myself playing games that I can just sit down for half an hour, play, then move on. Balatro being a good example. Story 39. Having to pay to play online to access a large portion of game features. Thankfully, there's games like Marvel Rivals and Fortnite and Rocket League that can keep me occupied. Story 40. I have been a gamer since before the Atari 2600 came out. I loved games. I played something almost daily. Last year, I had a few traumatic events happen with family and work, and I just could not find the mojo. These days, I'm investing more time in my house, cooking, and gardening. I'm trying to fix my basement as sort of a retro cave with some of my old favorite consoles and computers, back when games were simple fun. Story 41. Just like anything with me, my interests come and go in spurts. I can go months without touching a video game, only to one day start playing, and now I'll play that same game for months, even if I've already beaten it, or if it's a brain-dead game like Code D. Then next thing you know, I haven't played anything again in weeks. Story 42. I've gotten back into collecting reading comics in the last few months, so I've just been reading them in my spare time rather than play video games. Story 43. I would play from time to time, but I just got used to the grind set. I grinded through the military, college, and now my brain wants to continue grinding side projects in the hopes I can get a real job. Once you have been grinding for so long, it is hard to stop, especially if you never got the reward you were working for. I might want to play something when I get home, but my brain just doesn't let me. I will feel guilty doing anything that doesn't whisper a promise of a better tomorrow. Anyway, if you need me, I will be learning embedded development so I can put that on the long list of things I can do on my resume once I am off of my minimum wage job. Story 44. I grew up, and then my son starts with Roblox and Mario Kart, and before you know it, I'm right back with the control pad and bag of Doritos. Story 45. Was talking to my wife about this yesterday. These days, I only play games if the game has a good story. I play with cheats, so think insta-eliminate, easily leveling, etc. As you get older, games that require grinding or farming is pointless as fudge. You farm or level up or get better items, and for what? To eliminate things faster or build things faster. Cheats can do that for you. Ye sure the challenge isn't there, but grinding for better gear is just a stupid waste of time. Story 46. Haven't lost interest, not really. But I have a lot less time now, and I've seen a couple people here post that already. What I haven't seen them mention is the effect it has on your interest. The problem is not just that I don't have time to play. The problem is that I can only play for an hour or so I make a little bit of progress, then I don't touch the game for 2 weeks. When I pick it up, I have no idea what happened last time, so I replay that same segment, then I run out of time. I've restarted Fallout 4 more times than I can remember. I have no clue how it ends. Story 47. For me, I think Mass Effect 3 is what broke me from most games. I just couldn't being myself to care and be invested after that emotional ending. It made me feel like a fool that has partied too hard so much of my life in this story. Games like Stellaris, yes, but the concept of a Kiyoe game you play and be invested in ended with that game. Story 48. It's finding time for it. As I've gotten older and the more responsibilities pile up, you have less time for games. It's not that I don't enjoy it anymore. It's just become a weekend hobby rather than a full obsession. Story 49. Having a baby. It's really hard to justify sitting down to play a game when my wife has been holding a screaming baby all day, and I've been sitting at a desk all day and playing on my phone. Also, he's growing so fast. I don't want to miss it. Story 50. Having a social life, working 2 jobs, and just not having time for it. That was my 20s. In my 30s, I've reclaimed my love for gaming like I did in my teens with playing racing games, GTA, and The Sims. I admit I probably spend more time gaming in a week now than I did in 6 months in my late 20s. Going out to the bar just to go to the bar got old, but I'm cool with it. Story 51. Too much cutscene and story before can start play the game. Is it a movie or video game actually? Especially if cannot skipped. Instant drop the game. Story 52. Atari 2600 kid here. I never lost interest. Life happens and we move on, but if I can fit 30 minutes of grind in a game daily, all is good. Story 53. I find that having to invest at least 30 minutes just to get through the tutorial is outrageous. I am all about modern casual games. I used to like games you can beat. Story 54. Overexposure. Everyone plays games now. That's all my friends want to talk about. Nobody wants to go anywhere or do anything because they'd rather be at home. I missed out on several opportunities in life because I was also too lazy to leave my room. I still play games today, but they don't bring me the same kind of fascination they once did. Loved Elden Ring, though. Story 55. One that I didn't bink that's been mentioned. Everything's going cloud and server-based. They can just suddenly yank a gamble you might have spent 1,000 hours on. All that time and money gone. Same reason I dislike streaming too. Story 56. Realizing that it was a low-key form of escapism and that it was stealing time from doing the things that will actually benefit my life. Story 57. Some of them are getting a little bit too in-depth and have to think too much. Don't get to veg out and just play. Obviously, there are genres that have games that are still simple, just not the ones I normally play. Story 58. I played video games when I was 12 years old to race and earn money. Now I drive a car safely and earn money every day. I only played video games because I believe I craved independence in adulthood. I didn't crave taxes, though. Story 59. In high school, I think I no longer had the attention span for games, and I became much more interested in movies. However, now I'm an avid gamer again, and I think they're one of my favorite parts about being alive. Story 60. Money. Instead of time on the computer, I work and educate myself. I know it will earn me a nice living in the future, and that's more important than playing games. Story Story 61. I lost interest when games started having stories. I'm still stuck back in the Super Mario Bros. Side-scrolling era. You turn it on, you play the game, you beat it, or you die. No stories, no cutscenes, no character backstories. The last platform I owned was an N64. Story 62. Pay to play to get access to premium or special characters that are required to fully complete the game. Game developers doing nothing about modders or trolling. Story 63. I haven't figured that out. Used to be my go-to. But now I can't even play more than 10 mins without going, nope. Not sure if it's just one of those things I'm growing out of, or just a mental slump that nothing makes me content. Story 64. There's just too much new shoot to keep up with. I still want to be interested in the new releases, but darn, you miss playing for like 3 weeks and like everything is different. New maps, new equipment, the menus even change sometimes. Also, I want simpler controls. I remember like NHL 2001, there was a shoot, pass, and juke spin button. On defense, you had a hit button. That was about it. It was so perfect. Story 65. I was never a big gamer, really, but I worked at a software company, then revisited a game, soccer, I used to love. Where before it was exciting, I could tangibly feel the software development that affected the balance of gameplay. It felt unfair and unearned somehow at the same time. The player is basically tricked into thinking they are in control when really they are strapped into a ride with limited control. This led me to realize that playing a video game is an acceptance of somebody else's arbitrary parameters. After that, it just felt so much less rewarding than exploring the parameters of real life. On the flip side, I gained a new appreciation for the old Doom games, from a development perspective more than a playing perspective. Story 66. When I became a gamer, it was very normal that games allowed you to shape the world to some degree. You built things, or made decisions about the story. You customized a character in meaningful ways. These were features that were just in every game. As time went on, there were less and less games that had play features like this. Increasingly, games were about experiencing a specific narrative while pushing joysticks around, or just knocking heads with other players in a fairly small arena. I frequently see trailers for games that scratch that itch to make something cool in a game, but inevitably, they never deliver on that promise. Story 67. They took away my joystick and one button. How do they expect me to play when there are like 15 buttons? I did try to play with a PSP around 2007. I was playing a game for weeks and could not get off of the first level. I took it to work to see if coworker could help me. It turns out the decorative clear things in both of the upper corners were not simply decorative. Story 68. I still play games, but my interest in spending a ton of time on it has fallen dramatically. What did it? The fact that life is more fun and better than games. I recall my roommate sinking dozens of hours into a Grand Theft Auto game. Me? I went out motorcycling instead. Way more fun to do the real thing. Story 69. After 40 years of gaming, there was a huge decline about 10 years ago in quality games. Nothing is as good as the mid-2000s. Story 70. Depression. I haven't lost interest, but I see people describing situations that are very obviously depression to anyone outside themselves. These include things like, I'd open my game library, not be able to decide, and just watch YouTube videos instead. Your brain is searching for dopamine, the decision paralysis because you're subconsciously afraid of committing your limited time to something that won't deliver it. Or, games started to feel like a chore. You're playing games that are monetized to passing and meant to make you feel that way after the first couple hours, so you'll open your wallet. If this is you, get therapy.